Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hello, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So, today we're going to talk about results, specifically the results that your copy gets for your clients. Things like the click through rate from emails or from ads, or the open rate from emails, or the conversion rate for sales pages or cart pages, or any number of things. And we wanted to talk about this because there are a couple of different angles that we need to approach it with. The first one is that if you have results and they're good results, then absolutely share them. Absolutely. If you talk to a client, the client says, "Oh, hey, I wanted to let you know that email, the subject line before you came in and did it was the open rate was 10%, and your subject line gets us a 35% open rate." That's fantastic. Definitely share that as you put that on that project on your portfolio site and you go through the description of that project. Share those results. That's terrific. Um,
Mhm.
you may need to ask your client to get those results. In fact, I would say it's
And you might
probably
find, yeah, you're going to have to, is where you were going with that. But also, you might find some clients aren't tracking their metrics very well. So know that you might ask and they might know the open rate of your email and have nothing to compare it to, or not have kept good records of, if they're doing a welcome series and they're like, here's what it was at some point in time. It just might get messy, is all that's to say.
Mhm. Yeah. The important thing to know about results is that they are a nice to have, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not an absolute essential, which maybe you're thinking, well, obviously our clients are going to want to know the results of our previous work. Otherwise, they're not going to hire us. And that's just not the case. Again, it's nice to have numbers, but those numbers don't always directly correlate with exactly what you've done. For example, if you have numbers for a sales page and the sales page, you rewrote the sales page, it had a 2% conversion before, and now it has a 6% conversion of people purchasing. That's great. And probably, likely, uh, a fair amount of that is due to your rewrite. But there are always other factors. Did they also redesign it? That probably contributed to the lift as well. Did they change what traffic was going to it? Did they change
Mm-hmm.
what audience is going to it? Did they change when they let people have access to that sales page? Are they running that promotion at a different time of year? All of that can contribute to it, which means that why I was getting they were getting a 2% conversion and now they're getting a 6% conversion. That's great, but it's not directly correlated just to your copy. So you can't say, you can say I rewrote the sales page and they were getting a 2% conversion before and now they're getting a 6%, but you can't say I am responsible for getting my clients to a 6% conversion from a 2% conversion. That's just that's not valid.
Yeah. And to just elaborate on that, to give even more of an example that might help illustrate it. So, Nikki mentioned a bunch of things that could contribute to this, and, the different audiences they're sending there. So, for example, if they sent people directly to a sales page, depending on the product, even if it's a, 50, 70, $100 product, people might not buy right away if they're just going straight there and they have no other context. This is the first time that they're engaging with this brand or this product or this offer, whatever it is, versus if they started, maybe they had lots of emails and they nurtured them. And then they got to this thing that they're like, oh yeah, this is fantastic. Yes, buy, take my money. It's a different audience. They're in a different mind space. So of course the conversion rate is going to be higher for someone who has more context to what is happening on the sales page versus someone who is seeing it for the very, very first time. So savvy business owners and, business owners, whether it's business owner or an agency or whoever you're working with, your clients, savvy clients, are going to know that there's lots of variables, lots of factors that contribute to anything being working well or not working well. So on the other hand, if something doesn't work out, it's not all of your copy's fault either. If it doesn't, whether good results, bad results, there's lots and lots of factors, and then just changing directions. But thinking of all the other things that impact results too, like I'm thinking about the pandemic that we all just went through. Like that was a huge global event that completely impacted I, probably every single business, whether good or bad. It had an impact on everyone's business in some way. And so, of course, that changed the results and the metrics for everyone, for every business. And that was out of no one's control, obviously. So,
Mhm.
remember that there's so many the variables that yes are in the company and that we have control over, but then the variables that we just no one has control over.
Absolutely. And that's, the pandemic is a big one, but
Yeah.
they're like small things. Like you would be shocked at how much companies' revenue fluctuates just if it's a rainy day in a particular region. It's shocking how sales can decrease for brick and mortars and for restaurants and that kind of thing, or even certain types of restaurants.
Just if there's anything you take away from this, it's not to freak out about results, because I know a lot of people like to, you know, uh, or don't like to, but feel that nervous energy of I can't, how can I do anything, or do I need to make up results, or do I need to overpromise the world? And no, you really truly don't. Your clients want to know, can you write in different brand voices? And so do you have the ability then to write in their brand voice? Do you have the ability to answer their brief? They would know, okay, this product or service or whatever you wrote copy for isn't the same, most likely, is their product or service or whatever, and their strategies and marketing is going to be different than someone else. Who's running ads, who's running, what are they doing, outside of whatever your copy project is that might influence those numbers? So they want to know, just, are you going to have the ability to write in their brand voice and give them the best shot of improving whatever it is that they're doing and getting the best results possible? But they know it's not apples to apples. Even if
Mhm.
you wrote two sales pages, it's two totally different
Mhm.
clients and audiences, and again, all the variables with the marketing behind that.
Exactly. And this is a whole other topic, which we'll probably do a separate episode on. But that's also part of why we don't offer guarantees, because we couldn't possibly. There's so many other factors that go into the results. And obviously we always do our best and we put our best foot forward. But it's very rare, except really in the case of a subject line open rate. But even that, I was going to say that's almost completely attributable to the copy. Even that, it's not, because they could change up the time of day that they're sending it to. They could
Hmm.
change up the segment of the audience that they're sending it to. It's very few things are directly attributable to copy, which is one of the reasons why it drives me crazy when every once in a while I come across a copywriter's website and they'll say things like, I'm responsible for $10 million of sales for my audiences. No, you're not. And if you think that you are, there's an even bigger problem there. I've written for multi-billion-dollar companies. I don't say I'm responsible for $1 billion of Adidas's income or revenue. I'm not responsible for $1 billion of Barnes and Noble's revenue. I'm not responsible for it. It's I am a contributor to that. And you, as a copywriter, are a contributor to that. And those kinds of numbers are all they are is I wouldn't even call them vanity metrics, because they're not valid
They're not grounded
metrics.
in, yeah.
Exactly. There's nothing real to those numbers. So,
It's kind of a skeezy marketing tactic is what it
yeah,
is, really, when it comes down to it. So
yeah, it is. And you don't want to be skeezy. And also, too,
yeah.
people will understand the a savvy business owner or a business owner of any concept of reality will look at that and will not go, oh yes, okay, well, I can get $1 million from her or him. That's just not how it works. You are part of, you contribute to it, and the results are any results that you're able to share. you can say that you contributed to that, but you are not, as a single person, directly responsible for those results. So again, results are fantastic to have because they can help support. They're just one more way of supporting the fact that you are a good copywriter, right? You've got your website, which is written well and presents you well and presents you and talks to your customer or your potential customer and gives them what they need to hear and know. You've got your portfolio, which demonstrates your skill. And then, of course, in your description, you give them some insight into the strategy that you use to create those. You've got testimonials, ideally, on your website. And if you don't yet, go get some testimonials that will also support that. And then if you have metrics to share for projects, awesome. Cherry on top, fantastic. But they're not an absolute essential. Some
Mhm.
clients may say, "Oh, do you have any results that you can share?" Um, and if you do have results that you can share, absolutely. But if you don't, all you have to do is just say, "No, actually, I don't. I can tell you about the life cycle of this project, and I can tell you what my clients said about the project afterward, but they weren't tracking closely enough, or they didn't share those results with me, or anything along those lines." Because that's the truth. You never lie, obviously. You never want to make up numbers, but not having results is to share is not a deal breaker by any means.
Yeah, not at all. And so when you if you do ask your clients, you're like, "Hey, I'm curious how let's use an email for example. I'm curious at how that went. What was the open rate like? What was the click through rate like?" And knowing which metrics to ask for which thing. So obviously, if you wrote an email, you're not going to ask about what happened on the landing page and how many purchases, blah blah blah. You might if you're interested, but that doesn't directly relate to your email. So thinking about each piece of copy, the subject line job is to get them to open. The email itself is to get them to click through. That next landing page, if it does go to a sales page, for example, there are many paths this could take, so bear with me. But so this is just an example. The sales page, the job of the sales page is to, you could break that down even further. The headline on the sales page is to get them to read the subhead, is to get them to read the body. Everything is designed to get them to keep moving. And so then ultimately, the sales page, get them to go to the checkout page. The checkout page, get them to go to purchase. But so then you're not necessarily blaming everything. Oh, people didn't purchase completely on the sales page if maybe you get a lot of clicks through to the checkout and then that's where they bounced at the checkout point. So you can't blame, or I shouldn't even say blame, but blame or the opposite of that, celebrate any one
Yeah.
thing for being the piece of the puzzle. They're all
Attribute
related.
value to it. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, we didn't make sales the way we should have. It must have been the ad's fault." No, there's so many steps in between.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's a great opportunity, if you did write the email, say, and that's how the series went, maybe there's an opportunity to say, okay, I have some subject lines we could test to maybe see if we can bump up that open rate and get it a little bit higher. But as a copywriter then too, hey, I'd love to take a look at, like, I know I wrote this piece of it. It seems like maybe this is where the piece of in the journey that could use a little more support. I'm happy to take a look at that. Blah, 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 blah. And so it's an opportunity to repitch your clients and really look at where the opportunities are for them to help out that business and whatever things you're working on. If you're working on a specific campaign or you're working on a specific sales of a specific product or whatever it is, looking at the pieces that lead someone to whatever it is the end goal that you want that person to do. Look at that with your client and see where you can offer more value to them.
Exactly. And that's the thing too about the customer journey is making incremental increases in a couple of different places can have major results for your client at
Mhm.
the end. Yes, you increase the open rate or you increase the click-through rate because you were in charge of that email project. Absolutely. But yes, to Kate's point, what if you increase the percentage of people who click to the cart page? Even just increasing it by like 1 or 2% can have a
Even like a half a
massive
percent, I was
half
gonna
a
say,
percent.
yeah,
Yes.
can make a
And then
difference, yeah.
going back further, if the customer journey starts with an ad, can you just
Mhm.
a touch, small percentage points, increase the number of people who click through or increase the number of people who opt in or increase all of these little points are, first of all, an opportunity for you to help your client and provide value. And second of all, they're opportunities for you to demonstrate to your client how the work that you do only helps them build their business. And there are all kinds of little opportunities, all kinds of little changes, all kinds of the number of things that you can test in the full customer journey are just mind-boggling, but also really, really exciting because you can be a part of that. And, we were saying that the results are nice to have, but when you are more enmeshed in the whole process, then you also too are probably more enmeshed in knowing what the previous results were to compare to the results that you got them. So you'll likely have those results. And at that point, if you're touching all parts of the customer journey, I mean, you couldn't possibly touch all of them, but if you are writing for the biggest parts of the customer journey, then those end results, then you can start saying, all right, well, I contributed to an increase in XYZ amount of sales, or, dollar amount, or euro or pound amount of sales. Let's be include, although I really just only included a handful of countries, but you know what I mean. That's when you can start saying, okay, yes, I contributed to an X dollar increase in, but results, unfortunately, I wish I could say like, oh, I was the person who did this, and therefore I'm proving to the world that I am valuable. No, it's not that simple, but also our value never comes down to just a dollar amount. Thank goodness our value doesn't come down to a dollar amount. And also our value doesn't just come down to the end result, because we're not just producers, we're partners. We're there with our clients the whole way, helping them strategize the project, helping them make decisions based on our expertise and what we know and our messaging, and helping them think through the project. Just there's so many copywriters who say my clients were amazed at the first discovery call, or in the first discovery and kickoff input call, because I was asking them questions that they had never taken the time to think about their product or their brand or their offering before. We are not just a dollar amount result. That's such a small part of what we do for our clients. We are their partners throughout the whole process. So again, having results, fantastic, but it's a nice to have. It's not, it does not reflect your value as a copywriter.
And frankly, having worked with freelancers before, some of the value is not even related to the work you're doing. It's your process. Like, do I as the client, have to chase you down to get your work, or to know where things stand, or to, am I the one controlling the communication, or you as the copywriter freelancer, are you, if you have a bigger project, checking with your client, letting them know it's on track, or saying, hey, here it is, and I need feedback by this date, and working with them and being, again, that partner. That is there's so much value in that alone. Besides the work, your actual copy that you're writing. So just being a great professional and service provider, you can't understate the value of that. That's hugely valuable to clients.
Mm-hmm. There's so many factors. So don't get hung up on metrics. Absolutely
don't
not.
Put the pressure on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And don't put the pressure on yourself to feel like you have to Nikki's point, to prove, that's your value, because basically what I'm saying is don't use fake metrics, folks. Like, just don't do it. Don't feel like you have to do it.
Yeah. Don't use fake metrics. Don't use vanity metrics. Yeah. And don't.
You might fool a few people, but in the long run, you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't confuse your worth with any results that you are given, because you are worth so much more than that in so many different facets and ways. Yeah. Okay. So we hope that helped. We hope that gave you a little bit more insight, maybe calm down some fears. I feel like that's 50% of what we do here. Education, maybe 33%. Education, inspiration, and then just calming down those fears. You're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. And with that, we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.